I cannot say more about where we are in any conversations or who we're talking to. But what I can say is, if you guys are patient and you continue supporting us, you will not be disappointed with how big of a splash Bird is going to be making in that gaming industry, even with brands as large as Animoca. I'm trying to kind of walk a fine line here. We really can't say too much, but there is a lot of potential, massive potential. In fact, I think gaming represents the largest near-term potential for Bird than any other sector. Again, near-term only, but we're going to be seeing Bird's name next to a lot of big brands out there in 2022.
I think that answers it well. I think it puts a smile on everyone's face too, hearing that. So next question is, now that the incubator is wrapped up, will there be updates to the roadmap and marketing plan? Where do you see us going next?
So I know this is frustrating for the community, but I'm holding the line. I will continue holding the line. The only reason that we have not put out more specific roadmaps is roadmaps depend on funds. We are right in the thick of our funding rounds. When we close those rounds, then we'll talk about roadmap again. But the big picture is not changing. In fact, if anything, things are accelerating. Obviously, we had very high hopes for the incubator program. We believe in what we're doing. But to be frank, it has even exceeded my expectations with regard to how well received our message has been, especially, in demo day and after. So yeah.
Like that. So next one here, aside from the partnerships and the chance to secure funding, what was the one thing that you learned from the Binance Incubator that will affect the future of Bird?
Wow. Really good question. What was the one thing I learned from the incubator program? I don't think I can pick one. I think one really important takeaway for me is, obviously everyone that's in this space knows how interconnected it is. But I think sort of getting a peek behind that curtain really solidified for me how critical relationships are in this industry. How open teams are to collaborating. We are almost all for-profit businesses. I've never seen an industry in the world that is so open to collaborating with another company that could potentially be a competitor someday. So I think, for me, one of the biggest takeaways was just the relationship and sort of network side of this is just so much more important than I could have ever even thought. Went into this knowing it was important, but this just sort of took it to a whole new level. I would say another really important takeaway, and this is going to be a little bit sort of tougher, I think, for me to explain, and those big name VCs are the ones that everyone really sort of follows and hinges investments on and all that stuff. They may not be the best fit for everyone. So, we're having some conversations with a lot of these venture capitalists, and they kind of fall into two camps. We've got folks that are just incredibly savvy businessmen and women, and they've got experience across multiple sectors, crypto and otherwise. They know how to make a return for their shareholders, for their partners. But there's another class of VCs in the space that have managed to capitalize on the fact that a lot of wealth has been created in this industry in the last 10 years, and a lot of that wealth was created by builders. So we're really focusing on conversations with funders that are actually either builders themselves or have that kind of competency in their team, so that we know that we're getting support from people that have been there, right, that know what we're doing. And I think before the incubator program, I was like potentially many of you, where it's just like, okay, I want to see A16Z, I want to see, all of these like major names, I want to see that on Bird's website. and of course, we want big name backers, but I'm now realizing how much more important it is to make sure that you also have backers that were builders themselves and can provide that kind of support. A really good question. I'm going to continue thinking about that and may end up ruminating a bit on Telegram. Eric, who asked that question, if you don't mind me asking?
That came in from Gleam. I've got to go back and find it. I don't have that right in front of me.
Okay, yeah, not important, but just curious.
I like that one a lot. So next one, how is the tracking of individual wallets' behavior and browsing data in accordance with the anonymity of blockchain transactions? Sorry, I can't talk today.
Yeah, I get this question a lot. I think people confuse privacy and anonymity. They don't mean the same thing. And in this case, we don't know your name, we don't know your license number or any of that stuff. We know your wallet hash. But by the way, so does everyone else in the world. You committed that to a public blockchain. So when we're in this space where we're looking at on-chain information, again, privacy and anonymity don't mean the same thing. And we don't believe that that's actually the area where we're going to have to put this kind of attention to. Where we're going to have to put this kind of attention to is when we start working in the off-chain data space. That's when privacy and anonymity are going to matter a lot more. And it's also why I mentioned at the top of the call that we're looking at things like zero-knowledge proofs, compute-to-data routines, because those are privacy-preserving techniques to still produce the same kind of really powerful machine learning insights.
So on a similar topic and going into decentralization, are there plans for Bird to become completely decentralized in the future? So I think this is more of a DAO question here.
Yeah. So if I had my druthers, this would be a 100% decentralized project by the end of it all, right? But for anyone that's read our yellow paper published in May of last year, we've been very clear about what our philosophy is here. DAOs are super exciting. They are probably going to be instrumental in the future of business and legal entity formation, but they are an unknown quantity right now. Right? Anyone that's been in this space long enough knows that there's been some pretty epic failures in the DAO world. Now, that's not a criticism of the people that built those DAOs. That's what happens whenever you're a pioneer, right? Like when you're building the things that the world's never seen before, unexpected things happen. And that is going to be par for the course for DAOs. So our philosophy, as it was said in that yellow paper, and it will continue to be so, is to gradually cede control of core operational capacities to the DAO over time. We're not going to just take the entire company, wrap it up, and throw it into the DAO on day one, because what we're doing is too important to take a risk like that. So we have spent a lot of energy demonstrating to the community that we are a team of ethical, forward-thinking guys that just want to improve this industry. And we're going to earn your trust and continue doing that so that over time, as we start putting more and more responsibility into the DAO, we are able to, do that safely. So let's talk kind of some specifics. We are obviously going to offer a lot of sort of treasury-based, control to the DAO. It's kind of a standard thing in our industry. We are going to work towards certain areas of the model development and implementation process being decentralized. So I could see a future where when Bird's developers create a new version of a model, the community can vote on whether that new model is performant enough to replace the old one, for example. But the area where I think things could get really, really exciting, and this is way out into the roadmap. We got a lot to do before this could even be a possibility, but is actually decentralizing the model development process itself. Right. So there are other blockchain platforms out there and other non-blockchain platforms that bring together data scientists from all the world and have them compete to build a particular model. And when you have people compete like that, you get the best quality. So we're really excited about a future potential where we could even potentially have the broader community actually contributing to the model development process itself. And if that's the case, everybody wins, right? You have a completely decentralized model development process, and you have a really strong connection between the team and the community. If you remember those pillars we talked about in the beginning, governance, right? Being able to have the people that these models affect have influence over how those models are built and deployed is critical to the future of this industry.
So next one is about the actual product, and the Launchpad product being the first one. Is it live? When will it be live? How about gaming? Where are we in terms of actual working product?
So it looks like we're going to hit Q1 for a launch on the, wow, that's a bad pun, Launchpad score. As I showed before, we're getting some really promising preliminary results. That is strictly on BSC. So one of the big things that we need to do is we need to start deploying these models on other networks and start getting a look at those results. So we do have some questions to answer, and there's definitely some work to do, but we're making really good progress, and I feel pretty confident that we can get something out into the wild in Q1 this year, or Launchpad score itself. Gaming's a whole different beast. I would say right now we are very much in the discovery phase with our partners. I think the good news is that what we're hearing from them suggests that there's some real low-hanging fruit in that industry. So I can see gaming being a fast follow to our Launchpad in terms of delivery timelines. It's worth just kind of quickly digressing to mention something that we've talked about a few times before, but that's the economies of scale of building a machine learning business like this. We spent a couple months building a database of blockchain data. That same database can service a Launchpad score, can service a gaming score, it can service lots of different things. So we will be able to roll out, we'll be able to roll out additional products much more quickly because we've already built a really robust foundation. All right, Eric, what's next?
So we have a question about the token on BSC. So it's not easy to find Bird's BSC address elsewhere than the Bird website. It's not possible to find Bird on BSC Scan. CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap don't show Bird's BSC address. There's also very low liquidity there. So what's thoughts on that?
So liquidity is something that we are working on. The market turn recently has definitely caused some problems for us. I know I'm sounding like a broken record because I've said this for several months now, but we are working on it. We always have to just be very cautious about how we're deploying resources, especially while we're still in our funding rounds. It's always a choice of where we put our next dollar. And I try to make sure that we're putting as many dollars as possible into building the product. Building the product will bring some liquidity naturally versus artificially creating that liquidity. So we want to make sure that we're trying to sort of balance our resources the best way possible. As far as finding the contract address, it is on CoinMarketCap. I don't know about Gecko. We can definitely take a look at this though. So maybe Eric, if you can just kind of take a quick note that we should take a peek at this for the team later, that'd be great.
I've got a note here. While you're talking about resources and how we're spending them, the question about exchanges and where we're going with that this year is coming up again. You want to address that quick?
Yeah. So nothing has really changed since our last Fireside chat. We're in a wait and see. The implicit cost of a listing has gone up like 5-6x in the last couple months, and that would not be the most efficient use of our resources immediately. Now, once we continue making progress on the funding side of the house, that changes things dramatically, right? Because a lot of these backers, they actually come to the table with a plan for improving your liquidity because it benefits them, as investors. We will obviously continue to prioritize more on ramps to our community. But for as long as the market's being so schizophrenic and as long as we are right on the doorstep of actually launching our first